Mind Stealers from Outer Space, Part 2. This is Wonder Woman Season 2 with Linda Carter. This episode is awesome. I gave Part 1 of this two-parter a 10 out of 10 because it was so cool. This one's not going to get a 10 out of 10, but let's see how it scores. We're going to use my space, system, story, pacing, artistry, characters, enjoyment. Each category gets a score between 0 and 2. 2 is the best. I'm going to give the storyline a 1. I think after that great intro with the decontamination threat and the Skrill coming in and stealing the minds of humans to sell them on the intergalactical black market, it kind of didn't go anywhere further after that. It was just Andros and Wonder Woman just finding their location and stopping them and returning their minds, which is fine. That is a typical standard kind of hero story. You got this introduction and then you just have the fight at the end. So I'm giving it a 1 out of 2. It's fine. I like the storyline. There wasn't anything else added. It would have been cool to add maybe a couple of things. They had that creature who was pretty cool, but that's it. It's still good. Overall, if I was putting these two as one movie, like if you made this one long episode, like a television movie, then I would have just given it like a 1.5 collectively, with it being strong setup and just a generic ending. But still, I like this. I like the storyline here a lot, so I'm giving it a 1. The pacing is a 1.5. The first 5 minutes is a recap, so I would have preferred 5 minutes of more fighting, but whatever, it is what it is. It's a recap. Because we're into this sort of concluding this thing. The first bit with Diana fighting that monster ends up being nothing. So the cliffhanger was that this creature comes and attacks Diana. Andros shows up and it's a stalemate and they just back off. So that was a little bit disappointing. I wish, again, there would have been more fighting there or something. But there is still a lot of fighting in this one. And there's a lot of jumping around and Wonder Woman stuff. So that definitely helps the pacing. So I'm still giving it a 1.5, just not a 2 out of 2, but still really enjoyable episode just for what it is. The artistry, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 2. There's actually quite a lot of cool fights and laser shooting. They have this gauntlet, the Skrill have this gauntlet thing that shoots out. That's pretty neat. Wonder Woman goes she astral projects herself at one point through space to talk to Andros's little committee there. That's pretty neat. I think the monster guy looks pretty good. The Skrill, they're goofy, but look, it's all goofy. You're watching, what TV was like in that time. All these things were a bit goofy, right? So I'm judging this based on how cool I thought everything was, and Wonder Woman fighting and running around and jumping. So I thought all that stuff was really, really neat. For the characters, I'm going to give it a 1.5. I loved the characters here. Andros is awesome, and Wonder Woman, of course, is super awesome. I love that they go to address the UN, and he's like, "I'm from outer space." It's like, oh, okay. So that's kind of neat. The only reason I'm not giving it a perfect score is that I think that the villain wasn't that great. They chose that young guy to sort of be the spokesperson. Usually in these kinds of movies or shows where there's aliens, they usually pick a human person to do the talking for them. So the Skrill human representative was the guy, and he was okay. I didn't find him like evil enough. He was just kind of there. So that's why I'm not giving it a perfect score. But for the enjoyment factor, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 2 because I really liked this episode anyways. I think collectively, if you put these two together as one, I'd give it a 9 out of 10. For this particular episode, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. The last one got a 10. So if we kind of take the average of that, I'd give it a 9 for the collective story. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that I thought was neat. I like the aspect of the decontamination process, which is to say that they're going to target the Skrill's mind patterns, which is, based on their cruelty, their arrogance and all that. And it's a different combination of attributes that kind of make up their mind pattern. And any human like that could get affected as well. So, at the time of the show, they said it was 4 billion people. Andros is like, okay, so out of 4 billion people, they'll probably be okay, but some will be affected. They could go insane. They could just feel a little bit. And then Steve is like, well, what's a handful of people? He's like, well, compared to 4 billion, it's 2 million. He's like, well, 2 million people can go insane. We can't accept that. That was a neat part of it. There was something neat with the lasso here. Now, the lasso of truth makes you reveal the truth as you know it. So there was an interesting thing here where the squirrel were hiding out in the zoo, and the squirrel that they had captured didn't really know what that was. So Diana's questioning her, saying, okay, where were you? Oh, there's trees. And it's like, well, that doesn't mean anything. So it took a lot of actual interrogation and questioning, even with the lasso, to actually extract that it's a zoo. I thought that was really neat, because an alien won't say, oh, I was at the zoo. Like, they're telling the truth, but it's the truth according to them, right? So if someone puts the lasso on me and say, what did you have for lunch? And I say, oh, I had a tuna sandwich. Okay, that's the truth. But if they say, what did your neighbor have for lunch? It's like, well, I don't know what they had for lunch. So it's like, I can't tell you that, right? So I like the way that played into it. So anyway, really fun episode. Please check out the Wonder Woman playlist. New videos drop on Wednesdays because it's Wonder Woman Wednesdays. And make sure you like and subscribe. That's it. Until next time.